Now say this out loud as you're driving around in your car.
Join Sports Skillet.
This is what it feels like.
So how do you like it?
So what is it? I'm curious.
You like it like this?
My God, do we love football.
Or like this?
I love the sport of baseball.
And what about this?
You can have a sports show without all the vicious talk.
Simple human decency.
Whatever it is that you like.
Yeah, I like chaos.
We've got it covered.
Right?
It's sports the way you like it.
My friends, you may not know this. It's got everything you want.
Local and national sports talk that's fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff, Jay, and Kelly. They don't just stir the pot, they add more flavor than the other guys. Get ready to dig in and taste some Sports Skillet.
Tastes good.
Right now.
And welcome once again to the Sports Skillet live stream. We do this every Friday afternoon from the beautiful yet not overly ostentatious studios here in Cherry Hill, New Jersey at the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Wow, Jay, that's a big word for you. Is that your new one for this year?
Exactly. I am going to start using it, absolutely.
Ostentatious. I love it. I love
yes.
it. Should put it on the banner next to you. It's like, we're ostentatious.
We are, absolutely. So we want to thank you for joining us on the initial first Sports Skillet live stream of 2020. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. And again, we want to encourage you to also check out our show every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. from the studios of 920 The Jersey, Fox Sports Radio. And you can also check us out on sportsskilletradio.com. Go there, download our app. So if you happen to be out and about, if you happen to be in your car, you can just hit the app, bring it up, and you can hear Sports Skillet. Again, we start every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. We have fun. We bring on some great guests and everything. And speaking of which, we have our first guest here on the live stream, our awesome contributor, Skywarn spotter / crossing guard Ken Moskowitz. Ken, how are you doing?
Happy New Year to both of you gentlemen, your families, and friends out there. Happy New Year to you all. How are you?
Happy New Year to you, Ken. Hopefully your holidays was good. Hopefully Santa was good to all the Moskowitzes, and you guys are starting off on great footing here in 2020. Yes.
Well, let's put it this way. Hopefully, I'm on good footing overall. I'm hoping to get even better because I'm getting over this chest cold. I don't know what the heck it is, but I mean, and apparently everybody and their mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and whatnot all had this. I'm telling you, I don't wish this on anybody, but I'm doing much better than what I was previous in the last week or so. So.
Gotcha. I'm glad to hear it. Well, Ken, let me start off. We're going to talk a lot of NFL on this live stream because we got a lot of NFL going on, but we, missed you for the last couple of weeks. So I just want to touch on the Phillies real quick. What are your thoughts? Because spring training is going to start off in about another month or so. Truck is going to head down to Clearwater. So just wanted to get your overall opinion on how the GM did, your thoughts on the Phillies as they close up, the winter season here and prepare to head down to Clearwater.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much short and sweet. Right when we signed Zach Wheeler, that is, I thought, okay, this is, it's a positive signing. We're not overpaying for him at all. And, hopefully he'll be able to compete for that, for what seems to be right now. If it all goes as according to their plans, he most likely may be the second behind Nola as far as rotation goes. That at best, between that signing and Didi Gregorius, right after Didi, I said, okay, definitely A minus, B plus, and it looked like it was pretty good. However, I will say this, and I will admit this: I haven't been very thrilled. I'm not totally angry, but I'm not overly thrilled as to what has happened in the last couple of weeks now. I mean, you had, the likes of Madison Bumgarner, with the 5-year, I believe it was 75 or 85 million, I believe it was, that signed with Arizona. Okay, you let one slide by. You let June out of LA, with the Dodgers. He signed, I'd like to say it was like I'd like to say a 3-year deal. I'm not 100% sure on what the terms of the deal was, but he's now with the Blue Jays up in Toronto. You let that one go. And look, I get both were injury prone. You hear one side of it saying, okay, it's good that we didn't get them because of the fact that they're injury prone. But on the other hand, though, really honestly, Jay, I do think, it would have been, with what Bumgarner signed, would we have possibly paid a hair more for, a little bit more for him, maybe throw in another $5 million just say? I probably would have, but, I mean, look, at this point right now, I mean, you still have a few unknown names out there that are still available that, maybe one can help out the rotation possibly, or, you also have a few that could be, good for the bullpen possibly, but, sitting pat right now, in my opinion, it's a little, you're a little on the edge of your seat at best. You're not, and in this case for me, I'm on the edge of my seat right now as far as what's been happening the last couple of weeks during this off season. Now, will hopefully, there's a lot of off season yet to be had up until, what are we talking, 39, 40 days until spring training starts, until the pitchers and catchers report. So, there's still, time to be had. Will we be able to figure out something? I think we will. But, right now, for me, as far as Matt Klentak, I would say I'd easily, given the benefit of the doubt for Matt, I would have to maybe at best rank it a B minus, C plus right now as far as his overall rating goes. As far as what he's done so far, only for the fact that at the beginning, I thought it was an A minus, B plus because of the fact that we signed Zach Wheeler, Didi, Josh Harrison, which I have a real good feeling that he will make the squad because he's from what I know, he's a really good veteran utility ball player. But and I mean, now would we have had the room for who was it that we got from Pittsburgh last year that now is signed with the Marlins?
Oh yeah, the outfielder. Yes.
The name's right. I'm sorry. It might be the lingering of the cold that's still sort of there yet in me. But no. But would we have had the room? I don't know. It may have remained to be seen. But right now, I would have to. My take on this. Given the benefit of the doubt to Klentak, at best a B minus, but otherwise right now it's on a high C plus for him.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I'm going to go maybe with the B minus. I still think that they're maybe like a pitcher short in the rotation or in the bullpen, like a back end reliever there to kind of slot in there. Because you're still going with Velasquez or Pivetta as your number 5 starter. I'm not too crazy about that. I know you can't have all-stars at every position, and with some of the salaries that they're playing, some of these guys, I think Gregorius, like you said, I think he's going to come in and he's going to be an asset. I mean, everybody in New York is really upset that the Yankees lost Didi because of his presence in the clubhouse and the fact that he could rebound this year. He's only on a 1-year contract. The fact that he could rebound this year and put up some really nice stats. I still think that maybe there's another shoe that may drop Chris Bryant. When his situation gets resolved by the arbitrator, and he's either on a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal, and that will enable the Cubs to kind of hone in and ask for what they want for Chris Bryant. So I do think that shoe is still left to drop right there. So that could be something the Phillies are waiting for. They may be saving some money for later, because I know that they are up against the luxury tax, or really close to it. So maybe they're saving some of that space to do something at the trade deadline this year. Maybe they're going to sign another innings eater type of pitcher. I just feel that there's maybe like a hitter or a couple of pitchers short of being a really good rotation. Now, who knows? Maybe they put Vinny in the bullpen and Pivetta comes on and has a decent year with the new coaching staff. Maybe that happens. With Girardi and his new pitching coach in there, maybe they're able to figure out those two guys, and and Eflin comes on as maybe a number 3, and that pushes some guys down in the rotation a little bit. Jake Arrieta. So maybe something happens there. I know that you can't have superstars at every position, and I know the Phillies are up against the luxury tax, kind of close to it, but I still feel that because you look at what the Mets have done, and maybe they haven't been the sexiest names in the world, and maybe they're depending a lot of guys to bounce back from injuries, but you look at the Mets and what they've done to their bullpen. I think that Brody Van Wagenen has had a nice look. If he gets some of these guys to bounce back and have really good seasons, he's done a pretty good job over there with the Mets pitching staff and the hitters and things like that. So he might have figured some things out in New York. I think this is going to be heading into, and we'll talk more about this as we go on, but I think this is going to be a really competitive division in 2020. This may be the best division in all of baseball when it's all said and done.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I would also agree with you too, to your point there with Girardi and Brian Price. Between the two of them alone, we'll figure out what Pivetta and Velasquez. Maybe not as much Eflin, because Eflin's he's had his struggles, but when he was on his game, he pretty much had figured it out a little bit too on his own. So. But with between Pivetta and Velasquez, I think the duo of Girardi and Price, I think they'll seem to figure something out to the point where they may be able to help Pivetta and Velasquez in a pretty good significant way, if not major. So I have a lot. Look, I have confidence in this ball club.
Yep.
Now, just say if they were to sit pat, all right, I do see another at least. What are we talking? Maybe another 4 or 5 wins tacked on to the 81 that we had last year.
Oh yeah.
Now, and that being because of the fact that it's Joe Girardi, okay, because of the leadership that he brings, the leadership and the qualities and dynamics that he brings to this ball club. But will that be a contending factor? Right now, if they were to sit pat, I don't think it would be. But again, with between Girardi, Price, and Dillon at the helm as far as hitting coach goes, I'll tell you, I could see quite a significant amount of improvements. In as far as a combination of different ball players go, as far as the pitching goes, Pavetta, Velasquez being a couple there. I'm trying to think of who else there, but a few of the, and a few of the players off, as far as when it comes to offense, I'm sure they'll gain their footing, and as time goes along, and I have a feeling that'll improve as well too. So, but I do see, getting back to the beginning of the conversation, I do see as well, and totally agree with you there too, Jay. I do see another shoe or two shoes to drop, or between maybe another bat, or not a superstar bat obviously, but at least another pretty prominent bat in the lineup, and another pitcher or two, as far as probably most likely and as far as bullpen help goes too. So I do see another couple of names falling with us. I have a feeling it will happen.
All right, and now turning over to the NFL, it is Wild Card Weekend. Got 2 games tomorrow and 2 games on Sunday. Let's start off with our beloved Eagles. They are hosting the Seattle Seahawks. So let's start off with the final game Sunday at 4:40 from the Link in Philadelphia. What are your thoughts on the Eagles and the Seahawks heading into that game?
Wow. Well, it's amazing how it's amazing yet not surprising on how we got to this point. Amazing as far as what Doug Peterson has done in since that Miami game in the last couple of weeks, roughly the last month. I to put into the last month now. As far as pulling just about every single one of his practice squad players off that line, and it's magnificent. Just the magnificent results of what has transpired. I'll tell you, I do smell revenge in this game. Obviously, from the last meet that we had against the Seahawks in Philly, South Philly. The Seahawks have played overall. They've played some good ball in the last couple of weeks. I do see them a little bit light on their feet as far as defense goes too. Look, we've given the circumstances of what has transpired as far as our ball club goes, I could see a lot of screenplays. I could see a lot of time management, as far as clock management goes too, as far as handing the ball off to Sanders, and I do see this being a really, really good game. Now, will we have Zach Ertz back? I personally don't think we will. I know he's progressed from what I've read. I know he's progressed in the last week as far as his wanting to really, and striving to try to possibly play on Sunday, and I'll give him a lot of credit, boy. I mean, last week when I'll tell you, me personally, I was like this close towards breaking out in tears because I feel bad for him. I really do. He's such a wonderful ball player.
Hey,
through and through.
Second day he's practiced. You never know.
You never know.
I mean,
but
to me, it's good to see him. To me, it's good to see him out and practicing. That gives me at least he's fighting. At least he has a chance of being cleared for contact and hopefully getting into the game. I mean, if he's out there and he's practicing, that's a good sign.
I mean, the drive that he has, boy. I mean, I don't remember. I can't begin to tell you, the last time I've seen a ball player in sports had that will and drive to push and fight, to try every being of him to fight to get back into this into the game again. And I'll tell you, give credit where credit's due to him, boy. But I see Goddard, though. I do see Goddard, and overall Dallas has stepped up in quite a big way in the last couple of weeks. And the enthusiasm that Dallas has too, Dallas Goddard, that is, it's amazing. Not only Dallas and not only that, but all these guys. And once Doug Peterson gave that message weeks ago, as far as we need to step up in a big way. Holy cow, did they ever, boy! I mean, unbelievable, and crucial situations when needed, they came through. They really came through. Now, as far as Doug goes, now will these last couple of weeks put his name into the ring as far as NFC Coach of the Year? I don't think so, but it can't hurt. It will never hurt to have that awesome conversation, though. For the stuff the things that he's done to get get this team ready. Drag him out of the hole, basically, because and the reason why I say that he probably won't be considered, unfortunately, is just the fact that the hole that they got themselves in earlier in the season, or midway, to the point where they ended up 5-7 at one point. So I mean, but it can't hurt to have that conversation as far as Doug Peterson goes.
Oh, I completely agree with you. And I think what kind of hurts Doug Peterson as Coach of the Year is people look at the way people perceive the NFC East. Like, they look at the Redskins record. They look at the Giants record. They look at Dallas, not living up to its potential. And they have this feeling that the NFC East was like total garbage this year. And I think that kind of hurts him, like, oh, you're the best team of the garbage division, Right. But what they don't take into account is you look at what the Eagles have had to deal with on a week-to-week and in-game situations, as far as players just dropping left and right, during the game, and being out for a week or 2 weeks or done for the season, and like you said, having to bring guys literally off the practice squad and put them and depend on them in must-win games. You look at
and like you said, not to interrupt you, but like you were discussing with me over the phone a week ago. Name me one other coach in the NFL who's had to overcame what Doug has had and literally pull players off the practice squad line.
Oh, exactly. And here's the thing too. You look at Carson Wentz throwing for 4,000 yards and not having a receiver over 500 yards. I mean, that tells you how many receivers.
Over 250.
Yeah.
Over 250.
Yep. That tells you right there what what Peterson and Wentz have had to deal with this season, and to get to the playoffs, to win the division, to get to the playoffs. All these must-win games, boom, 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 right down the line. If they had lost one of them, if they had lost to Dallas, or they had lost to the Giants, or the Redskins, or whomever, they would have been out of the playoffs.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
just a remarkable job.
It is. Now, the one thing I will say though, okay, they have to the offensive coordinator, all the coaches on the offensive side of the ball, they have to watch the calls though, because I watched the one drive, two back-to-back drives that the Eagles were on against the Giants last week. The one drive in which they were third and 24, and they decided to hand the ball off to Sanders. And Sanders, I think, managed to gain 12, I believe it was, but to no avail. And then the very next drive, a 3rd and 4, and you're in your own zone, more or less, that you have to work downfield, and Carson decides he's going to throw it. So, I mean, it's the little things right now. They just have to be careful and not make those little mistakes, because because when they do that, then of course they have to rebound, which they absolutely did, but and gain their footing once they had it underneath of them. But they have to really be careful though, and because because look who you're playing. You're playing a Seahawks team, which yes has a good defensive line, okay, at best, but they're not world beating. But you still have to be careful though. You really do.
The only player that really scares me in this game is Russell Wilson. And I say that, I give the Seahawks a ton of credit. They're a good team, but Russell Wilson is really the only person that scares me in this game. His ability to run around, to make plays, extend them,
Couldn't agree more.
Run for first down. But you look at this, I'm going to throw some knowledge at everybody watching the live stream here. Over the last 3 games, the Eagle offense has scored 29.3 points per game. The Seattle Seahawks offense has scored an average of 21.3 points per game. The Eagles defense has allowed 17.7 points per game. The Seahawks defense has allowed 25.7 points per game. So what that tells you right there is the Eagle offense can put up points, regardless of people are saying, oh, you don't have anybody a wide receiver and you're banged up and running back. Well, Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz are operating right now, are so hot and operating at such an efficient level. They're putting up almost 30 points a game. Seattle is scoring barely over 20. So advantage Eagle offense there. The Seattle defense is allowing almost 30 points a game, almost 26. Eagle defense is allowing just over 15. Advantage Eagle defense there. So you look at it, the Eagles are getting it done both on offense and defense. Doug Peterson is 4-1 in the playoffs as an underdog. Eagles are currently ranked as the underdog in this game. And, the Eagles have given up the fewest points per game at home in the NFL since 2016, which would be 16.1 points per game. So the Eagle defense is getting healthy, and it stopped the run. You're looking at, the Seahawks are built off of the run. They are a running team. And right now they've got Marshawn Lynch, who they dragged off a couch 2 weeks ago, hadn't played in over a year, is like 30 some odd years old, so, how much is he going? Yes, he's going to give, it's fun to see the name Marshawn Lynch out there. And yes, he gives the team a little bit of a lift, but actually stepping onto the field and being productive and giving him 25 or you're not going to do that. So
Right.
So the Seahawks in name are kind of scary, but the Eagles I think can stand up to them and can certainly get a win on Sunday.
No doubt. Like I said, as far as it really pertains to the defensive side of the ball as well. Though you just gotta just the little nooks and crannies. You just got of the bad that you just gotta watch. You just gotta watch. That's otherwise and look. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they to a point, the last meet, they stood up to them. Yeah, I mean, but this time around, though, I do smell victory. And now, is it by a wide margin? Probably not, but but then again, you never know. But I do smell victory in this go around.
Oh. Yeah, Jeff.
Well, you also have to point out this is technically their last chance to do anything, so they're going to give it their all, if anything. I mean, the Seahawks, even though they, like you're saying, offense and defense may not be on par, but they could be really pushing themselves this time. So it's going to be very heated, in my opinion. Hopefully Carson Wentz can hold it together, play the game correctly, and
last chance for the Eagles. You're saying? You mean?
I'm being 50-50 on this, and I'm not going to play favorites.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Because
I was going to say, if you talk, no doubt, because even if we win this game, advance, that you got to talk as if it's your last chance almost every week.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For
win or go home.
I mean, no, I agree, Jeff, no doubt.
Yeah, my game is the Vikings, so I'm waiting for that. So that's why I'm not saying anything on this one, because I know where you guys stand. So,
but and here's the other thing, Ken, that people may not be realizing. Yes, if the Eagles win this, yes, they will face an even tougher opponent. Could be at Lambeau against the Packers, or could be going to San Francisco. But here's the other thing. If the Eagles can somehow, some way, cobble together a victory over the Seahawks on Sunday night.
And I bet I'm reading your mind. Go ahead.
Coming back off the bench, Deshaun Jackson.
You hit the nail. You nailed it. Yeah. Oh, you nailed it. Definitely. And this I will say as well. The way I mentioned about Zach Ertz, I personally don't think he will be in this game. If he is in this game, it'll be maybe a play or two just to to get his feet wet again. But we advance. I see Zach Ertz coming back as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like I said, he's been practicing the past 2 days, so that gives me hope that maybe they'll activate him for the game, that he'll be cleared for contact, and and the same thing with Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has been banged up with the ankle injury and everything, but he's saying that he's going to play in the game on Sunday just because they're active. You can limit the amount of snaps that they get, and use them judiciously during the game. When you need a first down or when you need a key play, you can put Ertz in there. Otherwise, keep him on the bench so that, he continues to heal. So you don't have to use him every play. You don't have to use Miles Sanders every play or Zach Ertz every play. You can use them wisely during the course of the game. But just having them in there would be a big boost to the rest of the team. Would give the Seahawks something else to worry about. We keep them rolling and everything like that.
Right.
One thing I thought I'd bring up to you too is since people have been all celebrating the new year and everything, the Eagles have still tweaked their roster a little bit during the holiday season. And one of the names that they brought aboard and who should probably be active on game day is this running back named Elijah Holyfield. I don't know if you caught that or not, but he has a pretty famous dad.
Yes.
His dad's name is Evander.
Evander, hey?
Evander Holyfield.
Evander.
Former world champion boxer. They've now got his son on the active roster, Elijah Holyfield, and Elijah is not real, doesn't project as a real quick running back, but he's a little shifty and he is very powerful. It looks to be very powerful. I looked at some of his highlight videos, and he looks to be a very powerful running back. And just in his DNA, being Evander's son, he has that no give up, tenacity and no give up spirit, and is going to fight and everything like that. So he's more of like a power back that could come in and maybe give Miles Sanders or Boston Scott a little breather here or there. I don't anticipate him getting a bunch of snaps, but maybe just to give Howard or Sanders or Boston Scott a little bit of a breather here or there. Maybe just a handful of snaps, but still, just seeing him out on the field would be cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically what you said that I basically mentioned to a few people when I first read about this too, and I didn't see highlight videos. You got me tempted now. I will, but just from looking at the pictures, he looks like he's a hell of a monster, boy. And I'll tell you what.
Look who we probably trained with.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what though, and look. Yes, he's not. From what I've read, yes, he's not. As far as the quick running back that we would see in Sanders, but the powerful what? So third down back. Eat your heart. I was saying eat your heart out like Garrett Blunt, possibly.
Could be.
Or, let's put it this way. If he's active for this, he gets into that game and gives you that first down, like you say, to give Sanders and Scott a break here and there. Tell you what, training camp may not be out of the realm of possibility for this kid. Yeah. I'm interested in seeing what happens this summer. I really am looking forward to 440. I believe it's NBC.
Yep.
I mean. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I mean, just the excitement of hearing, of reading about Elijah coming in, and being that it's awesome. It's awesome. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't know with Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders being a little banged up. Last week we finished the game with pretty much just Boston Scott as a running back. So you never know how many snaps Miles Sanders is going to get or Jordan Howard. He was like an emergency back last week. They had him active. He got in for maybe a couple of snaps. That was about it. They didn't really use him a whole lot. So you never know. I mean, depending on how Sanders' ankle holds up and where Jordan Howard is with his shoulder, maybe he gets a few more snaps than what I'm anticipating.
Right.
But again, and it also depends on how well he's able to internalize and digest the playbook heading into Sunday. And the terminology and everything, because they're not going to put him out there and get Carson Wentz killed. So
no, yeah, God no.
So it'll depend on how many plays he can digest and how well he's looking in practice leading up to the game. But you never know. He could get in there for a few snaps and give these couple of these guys a little bit of a breather and maybe and just like some of the other guys, practice squad guys on the roster. I mean, this is their time to shine and show not only the Eagles but the rest of the NFL what they've been missing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, overall, the way I see it overall, we get by with a win this Sunday. Obviously, it depends, whether we meet Green Bay or San Francisco, obviously that remains to be seen right now. But whichever one we meet, I'll tell you what, we give them a hard time, even a bit of a bigger hard time than what we will with Seattle, which I know will give them a hard time too. But we get through the wild card weekend and then the divisional round. I'll tell you what, and barring any injury, by golly, 2 words, by golly, and I'll tell you what, this person right here that's talking right now, meaning me, I will have that awesome feeling. And that awesome feeling will just gain more momentum. Because I'll tell you, I am excited. I am excited for this Sunday. I really am.
So am I. And of course, the first game on Sunday at 1:05 p.m. has the Minnesota Vikings going to New Orleans to take on the Saints. And I'll tell you what, Ken, while I think the Saints will probably win the game, I am going to be rooting very hard for Kirk Cousins and those Minnesota Vikings.
He's seen the light, everybody.
And you know, and you know why I seen the light, and I'll tell you why I seen the light.
This ought to be good. Okay.
Follow me on this, Ken. If somehow Minnesota gets by New Orleans, right?
Somehow.
Gets by the New Orleans Saints. It would be Minnesota Vikings taking on the San Francisco 49ers.
Easy peasy.
Going out to San Fran to take on the 49ers. Eagles would then go to Green Bay.
Correct.
To take on the Packers.
Correct.
I think the Eagles, with Deshaun Jackson back and Zach Ertz maybe, and we don't know, maybe our big offensive tackle back in the fold. We never know. I think the Eagles could possibly go into Green Bay and beat the Packers, right? Because, the Packers haven't been too great, recently as well. I mean, Aaron Rodgers only has that one receiver that he really trusts. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, but, Green Bay isn't the Green Bay of old.
No.
Yeah, go
ahead. I'm sorry.
And then somehow, some way, if Minnesota can defeat the 49ers, maybe they're feeling themselves a little bit, puffing out their chest, being really confident. If they can go in and knock out the 49ers, the NFC Championship game would be played at the link.
I tell you, again, it gains excitement for me. Just to have that recited, that whole order of sequence, if it all goes as according to plan. I agree. I couldn't say it better. I agree.
I know. Maybe Kirk Cousins is due. After all these losses, and everything like that, and being embarrassed on the national stage and hearing it all week, Kirk Cousins can't win the big game, and, the Vikings are going to get crushed by New Orleans. Maybe the Vikings internalize all these things and just come out and just, play a rip-roaring game and go out there and put it on New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the way I've been seeing the Vikings, overall, and of course, I believe they were here in New York at some point during the season as well. I mean, you just don't know what you're going to get out of them, I think, too. You don't know. It's like Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's a flip of a coin. You just don't know. What Viking team are you going to get this week? Are you going to get one that's going to be really dominant, like they were in a couple weeks back in L.A. against the Chargers, or are you going to get that Cousins, that Cousins game in which where Cousins, he has, he'll throw, a couple different picks here. I mean, you just don't know. You don't know. But I'll tell you, I do see, actually, believe it or not, I do see an upset yet again as far as, the Vikings, in this case, the Vikings. I don't think it's going to be much of a score, as far as victory goes, but I do see them coming out the victors in this, because the Saints are going to give them a ride. There's no doubt. But are they going to falter at the end? I do think so. I mean, look what's happened. Look what happened in our championship year against them in Minnesota.
Yep.
In Minnesota. I mean, and then of course last year against the Rams. Even though we all know what happened there, but still, I see a repeat again of the same thing.
You never know. I mean, Minnesota is a decent team. I think a lot of it will depend on what Dalvin Cook can provide for the Minnesota Vikings. I know he's a little banged up, but, if Dalvin Cook can come in there and they can run the ball effectively against New Orleans and he can give the team a lift that way. They do have some good receivers on the team as well, so maybe the Vikings, and if the Vikings are running the ball well, what that also does is keep Drew Brees and the Saints offense off the field. So, and use up a lot of time and make those possessions that Drew Brees does get really important, and put a little pressure on Drew Brees and Sean Payton to come back and match them score for score, which sometimes can have an adverse effect if you get a penalty, if, something happens, receivers are dropping balls for whatever reason. That can up the pressure if a team can run the ball really well this time of year. It takes possessions away from you. When you do get the ball, it creates a sense of urgency, like I have to go out and I have to score again to match what the other team did. So maybe if Dalvin Cook can give this Minnesota Vikings team a lift, I don't know how effective he's going to be. Again, he comes in, we all know Dalvin Cook's injury history, and he comes in a little banged up, but maybe if he can come in and give the Vikings a little bit of a jolt offensively, maybe they can go out there and defeat the New Orleans Saints. Like I said, just because they would be the lower seed, I'm going to be kind of rooting for them on Sunday.
Correct. Absolutely. Here.
And of course, going back to Saturday evening at 8:15 p.m., could this be the end of the Patriots run? We have the Tennessee Titans going into New England and Foxborough and taking on the Patriots. Could this finally be the end of the Patriots dynasty? When the Patriots play their last game this year,
without cheating.
I'm
sorry, did I say that out loud? My bad.
No.
Brady's going to be a free agent
amongst us friends.
Yeah, they better check his balls very carefully.
Yes, they could be deflated, so you want to make sure he has the maximum.
Make sure they're nice and stiff and hard, and make sure they're not too squishy so they can throw them farther.
Exactly. So, with New England, could this be Brady's last game as a Patriot? Could this be the last of the Patriots dynasty on Sunday, Ken?
Okay. First off, refresh my memory. The spread on this is what, 4 or 5?
Let me double check real quick. Or I'll have Jeff do it real quick.
Where did I look for that? Because I'm not that inclined into sports.
Gotcha. NFL point spreads here. Let's see. NFL lines. Let's go there. See if I can get it to pop up here. Let's see. It looks like New England -5. Underdog is Tennessee.
Okay. You're going to hear it here first. And I've listened to all the analysts get their take, Boomer Esiason, whatnot. You're going to hear it here. Titans will not only cover, but they're going to win.
I like it.
I like it too, Ken.
They're going to win. They're going to cover. They're going to cover, and they're going to win. And yes, you will see. Look, granted, I've said this all week as well. 80%, 85%. All right, had said, yes, we obviously have seen the Patriots decline in some type of fashion here in the last several weeks. I mean, look, give it to Miami. That was their Super Bowl last week. Boy. And unbelievable. They played a hell of a game, boy. But, yeah, go ahead.
And if you look back on it, it was a game the Patriots not only wanted to win, but had to win because that affected their bye week. Because they lost to Miami last Sunday, now they are playing this week. If they had beaten Miami last week, they would be off this week and wouldn't have to play and would have, a much easier path to get to the AFC Championship game, if not the Super Bowl. But because they lost to Miami in a game they wanted to win, let me put that out there as well. They wanted to win that game against Miami. They lost. Now they're playing this week against the Tennessee Titans, who are a very good team.
Yeah.
I still am in shock about that game, too, last week. I'm like, it's the Dolphins. How could they lose? Did they get overconfident?
A little bit.
But I'll tell you, Jeff, though, it seems like ever since that game that we had in Miami, okay, look, give them credit. I mean, they've managed to, yes, they've lost since, but they've also managed to play the spoiler role as well. And it seems, they really, I think they've come a bit of a way, not a long way, but a bit of a way. I mean, one of the dads that live in town here with me, he's a huge, longtime supporter of the Dolphins, and I mean, he even said, what? It's not to great lengths that they managed to, come back in a way, but they managed to gain their footing. Certain games,
yep.
It is looking up a bit, I would say, for them.
Quite a bit.
But I mean, but since that game that we had there in Miami, I mean, they've really managed to put a little, they didn't put enough together, I don't think, but they put enough to the point where they would be able to spoil Patriots, I like to say the Steelers, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that too, but I mean, they give them a little bit of credit, though. I will say, give them a little bit of credit.
They've got a good head coach in place, and they were playing, and that's what I was saying. The only reason they lost was due to they would down the stretch. The only reason they would lose is because of their talent level. But that head coach that they've got down there in Miami is really good. The players play for him. He puts in a good game plan each and every week. They were playing hard. The only thing that's separating them from some of the other teams in the NFL is their talent level. But, we've seen it from the Eagles. Sometimes you may not have the best talent level, but if you play together as a team and you don't have the turnovers and you play hard, you can sometimes overcome the lack of a talent level. And that's what Miami was doing down the stretch the last month plus of the season.
Absolutely. But yeah, otherwise, with this game though, I do see it being, quite competitive. I don't think it's going to be overly competitive, but I think it's going to be, a fairly competitive game overall throughout most of this game. I don't see like a game-winning field goal. Well, although I do take it back. I do see what most likely will be a game-winning field goal.
I don't know.
But again,
see these two kickers. Neither team has faith in their kicker.
and that's the other thing too. Yeah, no. I agree. Yeah, but I mean, look, you know what? It's they're playing for their lives in this game, more or less. I mean, look, again, overall, I do say on record, Titans not only will cover, but they will win this game, and they will put the Patriots in their place.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I am picking the Titans as well in this game. Let's not forget the Titans do, for as little, a lot of people in our area may not have been paying attention to the Titans, but ever since they made the switch from Marcus Mariota, thank God we didn't draft him, over to Ryan Tannehill, they've been on fire, literally, and they have the best running back in the NFL on their team. So, in Derrick Henry. So, they are a potent team, and I think they are, and I know Bill Belichick likes to take away what teams do best, but with his defense, maybe they're not able to take away Derrick Henry, and the Titans also have a very good receiver in A.J. Brown. So if they do take away Derrick Henry, then Tannehill could probably hit up, A.J. Brown for some big gains on through the air. And, I do think that the Titans are going to come away with a win, because I really have not been impressed all year with the Patriots offense. I think the Patriots are not the team to be feared that they once were. And I think that this could be the end for the Patriots' run. They had their chance to get their bye last week. They blew it, and in a game that they really wanted to have, and now they're going to be facing the Titans. And I think the Titans are going to want to go out there and show the Patriots that, we're going to stand tall against you. And I think Miami showed everybody that you no longer have to fear the Patriots. You can go toe-to-toe with them and come out with a win. So I think with the Tennessee Titans, I think they're going to come away with a win tomorrow night. And, of course, that takes us to our final game. The Buffalo Bills are going up against the Houston Texans in Texas. What do you think, Ken?
Again, I think this game also will be a bit of a competitive matchup. However, I do think, though, that being with the Texans, and the Texans in the last several weeks have been at best sketchy. I mean, when they played really good. They managed to win. It's like a fair and square win for them. With some of the matchups that they've had. But, with some of the matchups also on the other side of it, the matchups that they've had in which you think they would win, it's like they were really, including Deshaun Watson, nobody offensively was to be found on that Texans squad. It sort of in a way shocked me, to be honest with you. But on the other side with Buffalo, I'll tell you what, as far as AFC, I think it's a hands down as far as Coach of the Year in the AFC. Sean McDermott, I think, has won it hands down, I think. And look at what he's done up there, boy. Unbelievable. I mean, you got to give him credit, boy. I mean,
oh, yeah.
It's just unbelievable with what he's done with that squad. Josh Allen. Josh Allen. Now is Josh Allen, over the moon type of quarterback? In my opinion, no. But he's really good though. He's got that competitive spirit. But otherwise, I think it will be a fairly competitive game up until a certain point, probably maybe the fourth quarter. And I could actually see, believe it or not, the Bills landing a win by 2 touchdowns or close to it.
I would love to see the Bills get a win. On tomorrow afternoon, but I got and you're right. The Texans have been a very up and down team. You don't know what you're going to get from them week to week. But I got to say, I've been pushing for the Bills the past couple of weeks, on our show on 920. I've been extolling the virtues of Bills Mafia and how good I think the Bills are, only for the Bills to let me down. So I'm going to do some reverse psychology, and I'm going to pick the Texans to win, but I would love to see the Bills and Sean McDermott come away with a win tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would really love to see it, I wish Sean McDermott the best, but I got to think the Texans are probably going to come away with a win.
I mean, look, I'm rooting hard for the Bills, only for the simple fact that there's one dude. He was my former supervisor at MetLife, Aaron Schmidt. His name is. He is now one of the big directors for Safe Management, which they deal with the likes of the Super Bowl, which I'm sure he'll be in Miami as well. Yeah. But prior to his tenure at MetLife Stadium, he had worked for the Buffalo Bills for 9 years. And with all the pictures that you would see coming in, the still shots, that is, coming out of Buffalo, that's his best friend. I forget as to what his best friend's name is, but he's a photographer for the Bills and New Era Stadium, and so all that you see, that's thanks in part to his Aaron's best friend. But yeah, I mean, we've had when he was with MetLife, I mean, we had the most often discussions. I mean, the last year, I believe it was the last year that he was there. That's when Jim Schwartz was defensive coordinator under Doug Marrone. And that's where Jim Schwartz, 6-7 weeks in a row, the last 6-7 weeks in a row leading up to the Raiders, that final game in which the Raiders upset them, and the Bills ended up, I think, finishing 8-8 and not making the playoffs. But that's where Jim Schwartz had the Bills defense at number one. I mean, he had Rodney McLeod, Ronald Darby at that time, so, But yeah, I am rooting for the Bills, though. I'd love to see them get that win as well, and of course for my good buddy Aaron too. So.
Yep, I hope so too. Now, one of the things you can tell about a very well-run organization, a very well-run NFL team, from the ownership to the GM to the coaching to the players, is when every other team in your division goes absolutely crazy and nuts and starts spinning on its head and starts pulling their hair out. That's what's kept the Patriots going as long as they have, because you look at the Jets, you look at the Bills, within their division, the Dolphins, you look at them and they're constantly changing general managers, constantly changing head coaches, revamping the teams. They have every team in their division spinning on their heads, pulling their hair out, trying to catch the Patriots. Well, apparently the same thing is going on within the Eagles division, because now we have the Redskins, we have the Cowboys, we have the Giants pulling their hair out, spinning on their head, going crazy, white knuckles and everything, just absolutely going frantic, trying to catch up to the Eagles, because the Eagles have a stable owner, a stable general manager who's doing okay, a good head coach in there in Doug Peterson, a good franchise quarterback in Carson Wentz, and the other teams in the division have fired their GM, have fired their head coaches, or have let their contract expire, however you want to phrase it, and they're going crazy, spinning on their heads, going, trying to catch up to the Eagles where the Eagles are at, and not doing a good job at doing it. But now we have the Redskins hiring Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio to head up their head coaching and their defense. We have the Giants looking for their head coach after firing Pat Shurmur, and looks as though the Cowboys are going to let Jason Garrett's contract expire and get rid of Jason Garrett. What's your thoughts on the head coaching carousel that's currently going on?
It makes my head spin too. I'll tell you. I mean, look, as far as Dallas and their situation goes, it seems as if I've been getting. I wouldn't necessarily say mixed messages per se, but I guess a little bit of a mixed message in regards to reading. Okay, all signs are pointing to Jason Garrett going. All signs are pointing to Jason Garrett staying. Going, and I believe the way I put it all together, it's like as if the Joneses had him back in their office not once, not twice, but 3 times in a matter of 1 week. It's like, guys, what's the deal? Are you letting him go, or are you not letting him go? Quit having the public go crazy with these media outlet reports. What's the scoop here? I mean, I'll tell you. Now as far as the Redskins go, I'll tell you what. Ron Rivera. I had a feeling Ron Rivera was going to land a head coaching spot. It was only a matter of basically where. Mind you, I didn't want it to be Dallas. Thankfully, it's not Dallas. But even though it's, yes, Washington, but he's got. I think Ron has got a lot going for him now. He's walked into, I think, quite a bit that he's got to really improve upon within that team there. And I'll tell you, Jack Del Rio. If you ask me, Jack Del Rio, I thought was a nice hire too. I was saying this too. What was it? The Viking game, the Vikings and the Chargers, because it was on Westwood One, and Del Rio was the color commentator on radio there. I said to myself, you know what? I wouldn't doubt that you hear his name pop up in some type of coaching capacity too. So I thought it was a real good hire on their part as far as hiring Del Rio as their defensive coordinator, which I thought was really good. Now Dallas, as far as getting back to Dallas, I know I've been hearing a lot about Urban Meyer. Now, I'll tell you, really honestly, Jay and Jeff, there have only been, as far as within the last, what are we talking, 25, 30 years. Within the last 30 years, there's in the way I see it, there's only been 2 successful coaches that came out of college, and that was really successful in the National Football League. Okay, those 2 coaches, of course, coming from the Dallas Cowboys, and obviously Jimmy Johnson, and then right after his successor Barry Switzer. Okay.
Yep.
really honestly, I mean, look, we all know what Nick Saban had done with the Dolphins, which was really next to nothing. We all know, obviously, that dude that we had there, his real name, I believe, is Charles, but he went by the name of Chip.
Yes.
We all know what happened with that. I can't see. Why, I don't know. I can't really pinpoint a reason why. I can't see Urban leaving that gig in Ohio State. I just can't.
And that's the big thing with me, because these college coaches are running their own little fiefdom, in college. They're in control of everything, as far as the team goes, and they are the be-all, end-all. They send they go out on the recruiting trips, and they put together their rosters and their assistant coaches, and they also have an expanded roster, which you don't have in the NFL. You have a very concise 53-man roster. You have many more players in college. Yes, players transfer a lot now, but still, you have a very big roster of players to deal with. They're kids, so they automatically kind of look up to you and will listen to you as far as the game plan goes and instruction goes and things like that. So you have, whereas you get up to the NFL level, you have to deal with the fans, you have to deal with the local media, you have to deal with so many other distractions, and men. You have to deal with actually grown men rather than just kids. Grown men who are making money, who are trying to provide for their families. So if they're not getting touches, or looks in the offense, if they're not, if they're thinking that they're playing better than what they're being used for, if they're not getting snaps, there's so many things that an NFL coach has to deal with that you don't necessarily have to deal with on the collegiate level, and you're getting paid just about the same. And you also have to deal with, in the NFL, you have to deal with who's my owner, who's my GM. Am I being able, on the collegiate level, you're picking the kids. The kids have to commit to your college, yes, but you're going out there and you're recruiting the kids. You're giving them the scholarships and everything like that to come to your school. So you're putting together your team. In the NFL, maybe that's not the case. Maybe you want a guy, but you know what? Your GM wants somebody else. He drafts him, he signs him, and now you're stuck with him. Or you got a player on your roster from the previous regime that you're stuck with because he was drafted number 1 or number 2, or you're paying him a high salary. Things you don't necessarily have to deal with on the collegiate level because you pick the guys. So and you're getting paid just about the same, but you may not be the head guy in charge. You go to a team like the Cowboys, and Jerry Jones is the one in charge. That's one of the things why I think the Washington general manager got fired, is because when the owner, Dan Snyder, started talking to Ron Rivera wanted to, probably was also calling Del Rio or texting him or whatever, and the two of them had already agreed, okay, if Del Rio probably said to Rivera, okay, if you get the head coaching job, I'm on board. Just let me know. And Rivera was like, you know what? This team has been run so poorly. I got to change the culture in here. If I come aboard, it's going to be my ship. You got to get rid of your general manager. I'm running the show. I'll pick the new GM. I'll put everything me and Del Rio will put everything together. And that's what they're attempting to do. And in fact, I got a alert on my phone today that one of the things that he's already done as head coach is he's taken the ping pong table out of the players' lounge. So no more ping pong. if you're a member of the Washington Redskins. It's going to be, so he's starting to lay down the law that it's going to be football, football, football. It's going to be business, business, business. And I want you to concentrate on football. So ping pong table is all gone from the Washington Redskins. But, it's like one of those things where you look at a college coach, to get him to jump, you have to promise him certain things, or else he's going to stay in his little fiefdom.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and as far as the, I can't really make heads or tails as far as the New York Giants side is concerned. I mean, I've been hearing about Matt Rule, and which seems to be more or less the name that they're leaning on. I've been also hearing, I forget what his last name is, but he goes by the first name of Lincoln.
Yes.
But and I know they've been talking quite a bit about him as well. But I mean, you need, because of the fact that you need somebody offensively, which I can understand that from the way I've seen it overall this year in my viewpoint, from my viewpoint and standpoint. But I think also too, you need someone that's got a head on their shoulders too. I think as far as what they can put on the table as far as defensively goes as well too. Because really, I mean, look, and I get it. It's been happening for years. But you got to have that head coach that knows what's going on offensively and knows what's going on defensively too, because you can't have one without the other, more or less. And I think if they're able to come to a consensus as far as head coach goes, once they're all interviewed, you got to say, and especially with that organization in New York here. They have to look and say, look, we need a head coach that can really, ride the ship here once and for all. Because look, how many coaches have they gone through in the last 4 years? I mean, I'd like to say it's 3 or 4 easily.
Yeah,
which is not good. So, I mean. Chris Canty, I know here in New York, locally on 98.7. Yeah. I know he mentioned right away. He mentioned Mike McCarthy, and I'll tell you what, I will say this though: if they were to interview Mike McCarthy, and I would have to agree with Canty on this one, I will say, you know what? I think it might very well be to the point where it'll be literally a shoo-in for McCarthy, I think.
Well, here's the list that I've got for the New York Giants. We've got Eric Bieniemy, who's the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs. He's going to interview on 1/4 tomorrow. Joe Judge, the special teams coordinator, wide receivers coach of the Patriots. He's expected to interview. No date set. Don Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator of the Ravens, will interview tomorrow, 1/4. Mike McCarthy will interview 1/3. That would be today. Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator of the Patriots, is also expected to interview, I think, next weekend, I believe. Matt Rule, the head coach of Baylor, expected to interview. He's viewed as a front runner for the Giants head coaching job. And Chris Richard, the secondary coach of the Cowboys, former defensive coordinator, I believe, of the Seattle Seahawks. He was interviewed yesterday. So that's the list that the Giants have. Of course, other names may be added, but that's pretty much, I guess, the list from the New York Giants as possible head coaches for their team going forward. And, of course, they're going to have to work with Dave Gettleman. as far as building the team and taking the team and making it more successful. So that may be an issue with some of these guys.
Right. I'll tell you what, and look, I don't wish no harm or no type of fail whatsoever amongst anybody, not even my worst enemy. But I will say this for Josh McDaniel, though. You know what? Karma, I'm afraid, may come. He gets hired. Karma may come back to bite him, I think, because just for the fact of what transpired as far as the physical aspect, not verbal, because verbal he agreed, but on the physical aspect he turned down the Colts job. Yeah. So, and again, not disliking anybody or what, but I'm just, and look, give credit where credit's due, and I get it. He's been a successful offensive coordinator in New England, but I do think he gets tired. I do think, I'm sure the Giants, as well as whoever else he's a candidate, for, I'm sure they're going to look at that. They have to, backtrack a little bit, and they have to see that, he turned down, plain and simple, he turned down that Colts job. It's like, okay, well, we're up in the air here. We don't, should we or should we not? I think Karma, if he gets hired, I do think Karma will come back, I think, at him. Look, for his sake, I hope not, but, it's just me. I think that's just the Eagles, the Eagles fan in me speaking, but it's, I just, to accept verbally, and I don't care what job it is, you accept it on a verbal agreement, but yet physically you're not there, you're there and you turn it down. It turns me off. It just completely turns me off.
Yeah. And I think too, I don't know how well he's going to do. He was the head coach of the Denver Broncos a while back, and he did not do well at all. I don't know how well he will do outside of New England, not having Tom Brady as his quarterback. I don't know how well he's going to do in that scenario where if he takes a head coaching position, especially in New York, he's going to be under the microscope because the Giants allegedly have their franchise quarterback, and he would be expected to not only end their franchise running back, so he would be expected to lift that franchise up and to become a playoff contender once again in a division where you have Doug Peterson, where you now have Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio. So I don't know how well he's going to do outside of New England if he would take that job with the New York Giants. The Giants traditionally don't like to fire their head coaches. I just don't think they've gotten the right one recently, as they've been going coach to coach to coach. They like to settle on one guy and just keep him in place like they did Tom Coughlin. But recently they just haven't had the right guy. And I don't know that Josh McDaniels is that right guy. Like you said, pulling out of the Colts job last offseason and not doing well in Denver. Yes, he's done some good things as offensive coordinator for the Patriots, but then he's had Bill Belichick, to his right. They've been and he's had Tom Brady. I just don't know how well he's going to do outside of New England if he's on his own. I mean, we see how well the defensive coordinator, New England's former defensive coordinator, is doing down in Detroit. He's struggling down there. So I don't know how well Josh McDaniels would do outside of New England. So I'm not really that scared of Josh McDaniels. I think maybe, one of the other guys here's the other thing too. You look at Belichick's coaching tree, it hasn't been too good. But you look at Andy Reid's head coaching tree, and that has done extremely well.
Extremely well is right.
And one of the guys New York is bringing in is Eric Bieniemy, who's the offensive coordinator under Andy Reid. So If they were to hire Eric Bieniemy, that would scare me a little bit more than it would Josh McDaniels.
Right. And not only that, too, but also the way I also take on this, too, as well. Now, McDaniel, I'm sure, has been successful in front of the media as well. That's another factor to take in, too. Because, I mean, Boston, I believe, is like the 6th, 7th, or 8th biggest market, I believe.
Yep.
I could be wrong. If the Giants were to accept him, then guess what? He'd be dealing with the number 1 market in the world, in the nation.
That's what
media
I mean.
Market that is. So I mean, it's another factor, and not only McDaniel, the enemy. Because Kansas City almost in the middle of the pack, media outlet wise, but yeah, the enemy rule. All of them. They have to really be, because you have to face the media every week to pregame, postgame, during the week.
Yep.
Giving updates here or there. New York. Everybody thinks Philadelphia, is and yeah, they're tough on their, and rightfully so. But New York though, hands down, whether it's coaches and or players, they are really tough as nails here. So so all those candidates, they have to really take all that too. I'm sure they'll take that into consideration as well.
Sure, absolutely. So Ken, before we let you go on this wild card weekend, any final words for everybody out there?
Well, and as far as the football goes, let's enjoy it. I do want to touch really quick though, and within the first 2 days of this year already, and I know we're only in the third of it, today being only the third day of 2020, but I know we lost 3 rather prominent figures in their respective sports.
Yep.
David Stern, Teaneck, New Jersey's own David Stern, Don Larson, who I know in my heart of hearts, and I know he's meeting Roy Halladay right now, talking about each of their playoff games that they pitched and their no hitters, that is, and Sam Weich and football coaching great Sam Weich.
Yep.
I mean, rest in peace, guys.
Exactly. A lot of big losses to start off 2020. Absolutely could not agree with him more. Thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to family and friends and fans of all those great people. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, Ken, as we let you go, can you let everybody know how they can find you on social media?
Absolutely. Did I lose you, Jay?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yep.
No, I thought there was like an abrupt pause. I didn't know. On Facebook, Ken Moskowitz in parenthesis Crossing Guard Ken. Instagram and Twitter, Skywarn Spotter Ken.
And you got an excellent Facebook group that you're in charge of. Yes.
I did put out a post last evening.
Yep.
I hadn't been on there in a little while, only because of the fact that I, dealing with this cold and that on and off cold that I've been, going through. But I will be back on this upcoming Monday.
Very cool.
With a few updates here and there, but I will be back on there Monday.
Awesome. We will look forward to it, Ken. Have an awesome weekend. Enjoy the football. And hopefully when we talk to you next week, we are discussing another Eagles playoff game.
I have a real good feeling that we will. And everybody out there who will be rooting our birds on, enjoy it. because I have a real good feeling about it.
And I just got an alert on my phone. Miles Sanders will play on Sunday.
Yes.
All right. Have a good weekend, Ken.
Go Seahawks.
You too, Jay and Jeff. Take care.
You too. Okay, and that was Ken Moskowitz. Always love having Ken on the show. What we're going to do is take a brief time out here. We're going to take a short commercial break, and then we'll hopefully come back with Mike Nebbia, another one of our contributors here on the Sports Skillet live stream, emanating from the nice but not overly ostentatious studios here in Cherry Hill, New Jersey at Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Right back after this.
You're listening to the Sports Skillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube by searching for Sports Skillet. And remember to show us some love. Like, follow, and share.
Remember the TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name? Never been there. But every time I walk into Wildflowers restaurant on Pennington Circle, I feel at home and that I belong. Friday night, I headed over to Wildflowers, and even though it was packed, I easily found a seat at the bar and got cozy with 17 TVs. Baseball, golf, entertainment TV, you name it, including all NFL games. The bartender Dave suggested I order the Buffalo Wing Sampler, and you could tell he was a fervent fan. But reviews on Wildflowers Inn Restaurant Facebook page demanded I tried the garbage truck pizza, and Kelly had just arrived and promised to help me dig in. Then it came. Garbage truck pizza does not live up to its name because it smells amazing and it tastes even better. Freshly sliced peppers and pepperoni, garlic, mushrooms, mozzarella, and meatballs all baked on this incredibly crunchy and warm double crust to hold it all together perfectly. Heaven, especially with one of their 23 beers on tap. I'm a believer. Go to wildflowersinrestaurant.com for more info or just come in. They are conveniently located on the Pennington Circle, right near I-95. I promise you, they will welcome you warmly, feed you well, and perhaps soon even know your name.
You're listening to the Sports Skillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at sportsskilletradio.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching for Sports Skillet. And remember to show us some love. Like, follow, and share.
And we are back here on the Sports Skillet live stream. Again, we are emanating from the nice but not overly ostentatious studios at Connecticut School of Broadcasting in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And we want to thank you for tuning in. Just talk to Ken Moskowitz. Again, we want to remind you to check us out every Sunday at 11 a.m. Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey and sportsskilletradio.com, where you can go download the app. So if you happen to be walking around, if you're in your car, you just hit the app, boom, comes up, and you can hear our show on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. But more importantly than that, hit the subscribe button that's down there somewhere. And that way you're alerted every time we go live here on YouTube every Friday afternoon, so you don't miss any portion of the show. As we have Ken Moskowitz on, and now we bring in, as always, Mike Nebbia. Mike, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing all right, unless you count me getting all choked up over a car commercial.
I may count that. What commercial was it?
It was Volkswagen's commercial that did Farewell to the Beetle that aired on New Year's Eve.
Gotcha. And how was your New Year's?
It was all right. It was all right, I guess.
Okay. Glad you had a good New Year. We always wish you and your family a very happy New Year. And I'm sure you had a good holiday season as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got a big weekend coming up. Well, actually, let's start off with the Mets. What was your opinion of them signing Dylan Betances?
I was hoping that they would. This shores up their bullpen, puts in a little fix for their bullpen, which had one of the highest ERAs in Major League Baseball last year. Do not get me started on Familia. He was horrible last year.
But maybe you can have a bounce back year, and now you got Betances in there. Your bullpen, and the Mets team as a whole, I think Brody's done a pretty good job at crafting this roster for this year. I mean, he is leaning on some guys to have bounce back years, but if they do, the Mets could be a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, he's hoping on Familia to have a bounce back year, Diaz to have a bounce back year, Cano to bounce back from an injury, Cespedes to bounce back from injury. He's gambling too much, and when you gamble too much, the house is sure to win. But with Brody at the helm, with these guys hopefully having bounce back years, the Mets are sure to be a team to be reckoned with.
I think so. I really do, because you're getting some of these guys are in contract years, which will inspire them to not only play through injury, keep themselves in tip-top health, but to also put up stats. And for example, Cespedes, he's in a contract year, so whatever Cespedes has in his tank going forward, the Mets are going to get the best out of it, at least for this year. Maybe they don't re-sign him next offseason, but he's going to come out and want to put the best stats that he can possibly put up.
Agreed. If you're in a contract year, it's an extra incentive to do well, to have a great season, and earn your keep, earn your next contract. That's what Cespedes did in 2015 once he got traded to the Mets.
Absolutely. So that was the Mets. The Mets are going to be leaving for spring training in about a month. Do you think they need to do anything before they leave for spring training? Is there anything you'd like to see them do?
I'd like to see them get some infield depth or some outfield depth. Maybe one or two more good hitters for depth for their lineup. But other than that, they've had a fair offseason.
I would agree with that. So this is Wild Card Weekend. It's win or go home. Seasons could be ending. Lots of intriguing storylines in the NFL to go over with you. Let's just start at the top here. We have the Buffalo Bills going to Houston to face the Texans. What are your thoughts on that game, Mike?
Should be a fun matchup. 4:40 p.m. on Saturday. Let me double check. Yeah, 4:35. Excuse me, I was 5 minutes off. But should be a good matchup. Got a pair of young quarterbacks for the Bills and the Texans. But I think the Bills are just the better coached team with Sean McDermott. I'm going to pick the Bills over Houston.
I would love to see. I've been picking the Bills week after week recently. Jeff can confirm that. On the show. I've been a big part of Bills Mafia because I've been seeing what Sean McDermott has been building in Buffalo. And the Texans have kind of been up and down. I would love to see the Bills come away with a win this week. I would absolutely love to see it. I kind of think the Texans are going to win, but I would love, and I'm going to be pulling for the Bills in this one. I would love to see them come away with a win. The next game up, we have Saturday night at 8:15 tomorrow night. The Tennessee Titans are taking on the New England Patriots in Foxborough. Could this be the end of the Patriots run, the Patriots dynasty? Will it end at the hands of the Tennessee Titans, Mike?
It will. Midnight on Saturday, the end of the Titans, the end of the Patriots dynasty. It'll be the Titans taking down the New England Patriots. The revolution will be televised.
Awesome. I love it. And I am agreeing with you. I am picking the Titans in this one as well. A lot of things are up in the air with New England. If they do lose this game against the Tennessee Titans, they could be losing their offensive coordinator. Tom Brady would then become a free agent. Do you think Tom Brady would be returning to New England, or do you think he's going to look at all his options in free agency?
I think he becomes a free agent if the Patriots lose this one.
I agree with you. I think he will do the same. I think there's no guarantee that he returns to New England. I think over the course of this year, wide receivers have been in and out. Players have found it difficult to pick up the Patriots system. They haven't. Tom Brady has taken pay, has kept his pay low so that they can surround him with talent. But when he looks around the locker room, I mean, he's got to be.
He doesn't have that talent.
Yeah, he looks around the locker room. He doesn't see the talent there. I just think that he's going to look over his options. He's going to see what contracts roll in. I don't know who's going to be looking for a 40-some-odd-year-old quarterback, but I'm sure he'll look over his options and find out which option is best for him and Giselle and the kids and react accordingly to that. I don't think it's a guarantee that he comes back to New England, especially if Josh McDaniels, their offensive coordinator, moves on.
Yeah, I think he'll go where Josh McDaniels goes.
That could very well be the case. I wouldn't be surprised if they are a package deal. Then Sunday afternoon at 1:05, we've got the Minnesota Vikings going out to New Orleans to take on the Saints. What are your thoughts about that one, Mike?
I think the Vikings may just pull it out, and it'll be a similar situation to last year's NFC title game. A missed pass interference call strikes again.
I would love to see that. As I said in my prior segment, that I'm going to be rooting hard for the Minnesota Vikings. I do think New Orleans is probably going to win, but I am going to be pulling, cheering really hard for the Minnesota Vikings to win that one tomorrow. And like you said, I think they can. If Dalvin Cook comes up with a big game, he's a very good running back. I know he's banged up. I know he has the injury history and everything, but if they can get something going with him to make it easier for Kirk Cousins to hit up the wide receivers, they could possibly pull it out. And the other thing with Minnesota is they've been hearing all week going into this game about how they have no chance to win, how they're the underdogs, how New Orleans is going to kill them and everything. I think that they may be internalizing all that and may let it out Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock in New Orleans. I think they may, let out all their anger and play better than maybe they're supposed to play and may pull the upset on New Orleans.
I think that has a good chance of happening. I think Minnesota takes it over New Orleans.
I agree. And finally, last game of the week, Sunday at 4:40 p.m., the Seattle Seahawks travel to the Link to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. What are your thoughts about that one, Mike?
I'm picking the Eagles.
There you go. Think it'll be a close game, or do you think one of the teams will or do you think the Eagles will blow out the Seahawks?
It'll be a close game. Guessing a last-second field goal will do the job here.
Could be. The Eagles have a good field goal kicker. I like Jake Elliott, so it could be. And the Seahawks have been playing close games recently. Mm-hmm. Probably played the most close games out of anybody in the NFL.
This might be the time Wentz actually gets himself hurt.
No, this will not be the time Wentz gets himself hurt. He will stay healthy for a game next weekend. But now we also want to look at the coaching carousel with you, Mike. We have the Redskins making a coaching hire, hiring Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio. Ron Rivera will be the head coach. Jack Del Rio will be the defensive coordinator of the Redskins. You also have the Redskins firing their general manager, so those two guys are going to be putting together the new revamped Washington Redskins front office and coaching staff. What are your thoughts about having Rivera and Del Rio in the division?
It's going to be difficult. We're going to face them twice each year. And Del Rio's a very defensive-minded coach. Rivera is offensive-minded. I think they'll clash.
No, Mike. Rivera's defensive.
What was Del Rio in Jacksonville?
Del Rio is also a defensive-minded head coach. They both come from the defense.
Okay, so they'll actually mesh because of their similar styles. I don't know where they'll go in the draft. Depends on who their general manager will be. But I think this would be a welcome change for Washington, unless you get the presser that introduced them both.
Well, I can say that a certain defensive lineman has declared for the draft, Chase Young. Redskins have the second pick in the draft, and Dwayne Haskins, the Redskins quarterback, tweeted out, "See you soon" to him. So it looks like Haskins, both of those guys come from Ohio State. So, that could be a nice combination for the Washington Redskins with Rivera and Del Rio being defensive-minded. That they're going to want to make the defense as good as it can possibly be. I'm just curious to see who they're going to bring in as the offensive coordinator, because that will be key in developing Dwayne Haskins. But already we've seen Rivera take away the ping pong table in the Redskins team room. So there's going to be a focus on, just football and work. And, like if you're going to be a member of the Washington Redskins, it's going to be team first.
Yeah, I hear they took out the ping pong table and put in one of those mechanical football games now, so they can actually try playing that way.
I don't know, maybe
that'll help.
But they're starting from ground zero, so they're going to be building the team in their image, which is going to be a hard-hitting, defensive-minded, looks like a defensive-minded team. The Giants are looking for their new head coach, Mike, and it looks like it's going to come from the list of Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs, Joe Judge, the special teams coordinator, wide receiver coach of the Patriots, Don Wink Martindale, defensive coordinator of the Ravens, Mike McCarthy, the former head coach of the Packers, Josh McDaniels, offensive coordinator of the Patriots, Matt Rule, the head coach of Baylor, or Chris Richard, the secondary coach of the Cowboys and former defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. Out of that list, who would you like to see become head coach of the New York Giants?
First off, I cannot unhear Wink Martindale without first thinking of the game show host by the same name.
I agree.
That's just me. I've followed Wink's career since Tic-Tac-Toe reruns on Game Show Network.
I agree. I have the same thing. Whenever I hear Don Wink Martindale, I think of the same guy.
But anyway, I'm thinking Eric Bieniemy, guy who runs, I think it's, you said offensive
coordinator of the Chiefs, right? Andy Reid's right-hand man.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking. I'm thinking Eric Bieniemy. Surprised Jason Garrett wasn't on that list.
Well, he hasn't officially...
to cover him from the Cowboys.
He hasn't officially been released by the Cowboys yet. He's still under contract, even though he reportedly has been told that he's, being let go. But still technically under contract to the Cowboys. So the Giants or any other team, such as the Browns or Panthers, can't interview him. Eric Bieniemy would scare me a little bit if he became head coach of the Giants, just because Andy Reid's coaching tree has done extremely well. You look at Peterson in Philadelphia, Nagy on the Bears, other guys, Ron Rivera. I mean, the Andy Reid coaching tree has done well when they've been given an opportunity. And Eric Bieniemy could become the latest Andy Reid disciple to do well if he's given a head coaching opportunity. So he would kind of scare me. Mike McCarthy might be an interesting choice, but I think the Browns would be wise in signing him to turn their program around. I think he would make a good coach out in Cleveland. Josh McDaniels doesn't really scare me at all. Matt Rule, maybe. He's done well in his head coaching stops, but again, he's strictly been coaching college teams, so I don't know how well he would transition to the NFL. Joe Judge, the special teams coordinator of the Patriots. Again, you're talking about the Patriots and Bill Belichick's coaching tree. I like the fact that they're interviewing a special teams coach because a lot of times I think they get overlooked when it comes to head coaching opportunities. Maybe you agree. That special teams coordinators, you only have to look at Harbaugh on the Ravens to see how good a special teams coordinator can do if given the opportunity. So he's an intriguing option for them to bring in and take a look at. I would think Bieniemy would make a really good head coaching choice if they were to bring him in.
Yeah, Bieniemy would be great for the Giants. He's been endorsed by Andy Reid, and if they bring Bieniemy in, which I know they will, he's going to be the front runner, no question about it.
Yeah, I know they said Matt Rule was, but I would rather them go with Eric Bieniemy instead of Matt Rule. I know there a lot of people are saying Rule is the front runner, and he's turned around some programs and everything. I just don't know how well he would do on the NFL level, and at least Bieniemy, has NFL coaching experience. I know Rule was like an assistant offensive line coach or an assistant coach with the Giants previously, but that was only for like a season maybe before he accepted a head coaching job at Temple. But I just would rather somebody who's coached on the NFL level. Like you said, I would rather it be Bieniemy. Looking at the Cleveland Browns, still a mess. They are bringing in everybody under the sun. They're also interviewing Bieniemy, Brian Daboll, who's the offensive coordinator of the Bills, Mike LaFleur, the passing game coordinator of the 49ers, Mike McCarthy, Mike McDaniel, the run game coordinator of the 49ers, Josh McDaniels, Urban Meyer, mentioned as a candidate, but the team denied any interest with him. He said he wasn't going to be a candidate for the Cleveland Browns. Matt Rule turned the Cleveland Browns down. They're looking at possibly Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator of the Ravens, Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, and Kevin Stefanski, the offensive coordinator of the Vikings. A lot of people the Browns are bringing in. I just think they need an adult in the room, a guy with NFL experience, a guy that can command the room, lay down the law, because you got a lot of egos on that team, but a lot of talent. A guy that can bring it all together, but also rein in some of these guys, especially the quarterback. Just an adult to rein everybody in, and teach them right from wrong, and just teach them how to be adults and put together good game plans week in and week out. Because the talent is there on Cleveland. It's just they need an adult. What do you think?
And that adult is going to be Mike McCarthy, no questions about it. He's got the NFL coaching experience. He's got the caliber of an NFL coach. He's got the discipline of an NFL coach. It's got to be McCarthy.
I would agree with you. If I was the Cleveland Browns, unfortunately, I know some of these guys, you know, you could say maybe a Robert Saleh or a Kevin Stefanski or a Greg Roman, you know, of the Ravens, might make good NFL head coaches, but where the Browns are with the team, the way it's constructed and everything, you know, you need to go with a Mike McCarthy. Like you said, I think that is the guy that they need to bring in to turn around the program, to be an adult in the room, to command respect from the day he walks in there, and you know, to rein everybody in. I think Mike McCarthy would be a good choice for them. And then the only other head coaching opportunity that's open right now is with the Carolina Panthers. They got a short list so far. Eric Bieniemy, Perry Fewell, the interim head coach of the Panthers. They're going to give him an opportunity. Mike McCarthy, Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator of the Patriots, and again, Matt Rule, the head coach of Baylor. Short list for the Panthers. With them, I might go with, you know, if the Giants don't have Bieniemy, I wouldn't mind, you know, them going with a younger head coach. If they decide to move on from Cam Newton, you know, you need a guy who's going to come in there and is going to be able to rebuild the program. They've got some talent on the team. So maybe a Matt Rule might be a good head coach for the Panthers. What do you think?
The enemy's going to the Giants, McCarthy to the Browns, and Matt Rule goes to the Panthers.
I agree with you there. I think Matt Rule, with the way he's able to build teams, you know, that's kind of what the Panthers are in. They need a guy to come in to energize the franchise a little bit, because after they fired Ron Rivera, the team just absolutely, positively gave up and tanked the rest of the season. So you need a guy that can, and there is talent on the Carolina Panthers. They just need maybe a young, energetic guy who can build. And that's what Matt Rule can do. He's a builder. I think he would work out well there. Absolutely. So that would be the NFL head coaching carousel that's currently going on. I also, you know, again, want to retouch with the Dallas Cowboys. Supposedly, Jerry Jones and his sons have told Jason Garrett that they're not going to renew his contract, and that he's going to be let go. Maybe they're trying to find a place for him in their front office, but to me, that would create an awkward situation down in Dallas, because then you have the former head coach of the Cowboys who's somewhat involved in the drafting of players, or, you know, still in the building. I think if you're going to move on from Garrett, you've got to just cut bait with him and wish him well. But here's the thing. The longer the Cowboys wait to officially announce and cut bait with Jason Garrett, they're doing two things. Number one, they're hurting Jason Garrett's ability to catch on with another team, because who knows? Maybe the Browns would like to bring him in. Maybe the Giants would like to talk to him. Maybe the Panthers would like to talk to him as a head coaching candidate. But the longer they hold on to Jason Garrett and the longer they don't release him from his contract, the less opportunities they're going to he's going to have to latch on to another team. And not only that, the less opportunity they're going to have. Now, maybe they talk to some guys through back channels, but the less opportunity they're going to have to interview some of these guys, because who knows, they, you know, going through the interview process with Jerry Jones and his son and everything like that. Maybe they go through the interview process and they decide to stay where they are. You know what? Thank you for interviewing me. I appreciate you offering me the position, but I'm going to stay where I am. So, you know, they're going to have less of a pool to choose from for their opening when they do decide to cut bait with Jason Garrett. And not only that, but right now the Washington Redskins and some of these other teams are firming up their assistant coaching staffs, which are key to a successful program. Right now you have Del Rio and the head coach of Ron Rivera interviewing assistant coaches, putting together their coaching staff. They're moving, they're grooving. So the longer the Cowboys wait with Jason Garrett, whoever they hire is going to have less of a chance to put together their assistant coaching staff, which is going to cost them games. That could be pretty bad for the Dallas Cowboys going forward when they're trying to catch the Philadelphia Eagles and they're trying to get better coaching wise.
Yeah, there are teams going to try and shore up their coaching staff, and longer they hold on to Jason Garrett, less of a chance he's going to get. He needs that chance to really show what he's got as a coach, really improve his style, develop his own belief system, his own style of coaching, something he didn't get to do under Jerry Jones.
Exactly, and that's been my point about Jason Garrett, is that Jerry Jones has been putting together the coaching staff under Jason Garrett. He's been giving Jason Garrett the players. Now, yes, in the last game when, he was facing the Eagles, there was a lot of controversy about, players going to the sidelines, tapping out of the game, his coaching decisions, not calling a timeout. So yes, there were some coaching decisions that were kind of questionable, but again, Jason Garrett didn't put together the coaching staff, didn't put together the players, was given maybe minimal things that he was responsible for underneath, for the Cowboys, not calling plays. That was the offensive coordinator. So, maybe he goes to another team, the restraints or the straitjacket is taken off of him, and he shows how good of a coach he is or he isn't, But the longer he remains under contract to the Cowboys, the less opportunities he's going to have to go ahead and do that. Because there's only a couple of openings right now. You've got the Giants, the Browns, and the Panthers, and that's it. So, and they're moving on with their coaching stuff. They're not waiting for him. So they may decide, within the next week or two who they want to hire. And if Garrett is still under contract, they're not going to bring him in. So he may be sitting out a year.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened with McCarthy. He's been out, 2-3 years now?
Yeah.
And that's because the Packers held on to him too long.
Yeah. They didn't release him, so, and it gives them less of a pool to choose from in terms of the head coach and the assistant coaches that he may want to get. They may be all snapped up by the time they make their head coaching decision.
Exactly. This is exactly the same mistake the Packers did when they let go or refused to let go of Mike McCarthy.
And another interesting hire, the Dolphins have hired Shane Gailey as their offensive coordinator under Brian Flores. Gailey's spread offense could maybe fit the bill for the Miami Dolphins. So they have a number of young players on their roster. So, rather than O'Shea, the former offensive coordinator, O'Shea's system was kind of complex. Shane Gailey's was Ryan Fitzpatrick's offensive coordinator with the Jets from 15 to 16, and he was also the head coach of the Bills from 2010 to 12. The team, Miami, does want Fitzpatrick back in 2020 for the final year of his 2-year deal and to possibly bridge the gap to a young quarterback that they may select this year in the upcoming draft. So, Gailey's also served as the offensive coordinator for 4 different teams, the Steelers, Dolphins, Chiefs, and Jets. So, and he's also served as the head coach of the Cowboys and Bills. So he does have that experience with him. Now he is just 34 and 49 as a head coach. including an 0-2 mark in the playoffs. But, he could inject something to the Miami Dolphins and work with Ryan Fitzpatrick and make the Dolphins offense a little bit better. What do you think?
I think this is a good hire for the Dolphins. Have them bridge the gap between Fitzpatrick and a young quarterback that they could select in the draft. Tagovailoa. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Tua Tagovailoa. I can't pronounce his name.
Tagovailoa. Yep.
I can't pronounce that name.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes in the draft. I mean, he's supposed to make his decision on Monday as to whether or not he'll be entering the NFL draft or returning to college for his senior season. Currently injured. Which way do you think he's going to go? Do you think he's going to enter the draft, or do you think he's going to forego the draft, come back to college for his senior season, prove that he's fully healthy, and then be one of, if not the top draft pick next season?
If I were Tua in this situation, I would go back to college, prove that I'm healthy, and potentially be one of the top quarterbacks in the 2021 draft.
I would agree with you. I would advise Tua to go back for his senior season. I know he would be foregoing a lot of, you're going to roll the dice. You're going to be gambling on the fact that you're going to recover and have good numbers next year. Of course, some of the players that you're currently playing with are going to be gone for one reason or another. They could be drafted. They could just have played their senior year and are off the team. So maybe you don't have quite the playmakers next year that you do this year. But I think Tua is good enough to where if he's given a senior season in college, he could do well again, put up good numbers. And I think he would be, if he would, instead of going into a draft where we don't really know where he's going to be drafted, I mean, we can speculate that he would be drafted in the top 10 somewhere, but we're not sure of it because of his injury and because he may be sitting the beginning of the season, just to recover from his injury. I think he would definitely be, if he goes back to college, puts up good stats, shows that he's healthy, there's no doubt that he would be the number one pick in next year's draft and earn that much more money. I know he's leaving a lot of money on the table now, but I think he could earn that back and more if he will go back to college, show that he's healthy, have a good season, and he would definitely be the top pick next year. I know it's going to be a tough decision for him, but I would go back to college if I were him. I agree with you there, Mike.
Not only that, he'd also get his major, just in case an NFL career doesn't pan out.
Exactly my point as well.
Well, he'll have something to fall back on.
Exactly. Because, you look at RG3. I mean, here's a guy that was, the top pick, one of the top picks in the draft, goes out, plays for Washington. Things don't go well for him there, ends up suffering a leg injury. He's been a backup for a while. He's never been the same player that he was when he was first drafted onto Washington. And it would be nice to have and like you said, it would be nice to have a college degree to fall back on just in case, because you never know. Look at Alex Smith. I mean, here's a guy that's trying to rehab and come back from a bad injury as well. So you never know what can happen. The NFL is a contact sport. It's always good to have that college degree to fall back on. I completely agree with you. I think it would be a good decision for him to come back and get that college degree.
Exactly. I tried telling this to one of my friends who's a bowling standout to get a college degree just in case a career in the Professional Bowlers Association doesn't pan out.
I agree with you there, Mike.
And thank goodness he listened to me.
Yes. Smart man you are, Mike. Absolutely. So, Mike, before we let you go, any final words this week?
Well, I'm hoping the Eagles pull it out against the Seahawks. And if all goes according to what you said to Ken Moskowitz, NFC title game could be played in Philadelphia, and that would be a very hot ticket. But in my mind, it wouldn't be as hot as when Derek Jeter rehabbed for the Thunder, let me tell you that much.
I think it would be hotter. NFC Championship game would be definitely a hot ticket in Philadelphia if the Vikings can pull off.
My parents had people trying to scalp tickets away from my parents. They had offers of up to $500, $750, and we had those tickets since Christmas Eve that year.
Definitely, I'm not arguing with you. It was definitely a hot ticket, but the NFL is a monster, though, Mike. I mean, you're talking about thousands of dollars for an NFC Championship game in Philadelphia.
Talking about what, 3,000, $4,000 even?
Maybe even more than that. For an NFC Championship game. Depending on Eagles, Vikings. At the link. Trip to the Super Bowl on the line. I can only imagine how many thousands. You could be talking maybe $30,000, $40,000, maybe even more than that for a ticket to an NFC Championship game at the link.
Could be upwards of 10.
30,000?
Resellers.
You're talking the NFC Championship game though, and the NFL. We know how much a Super Bowl ticket costs, so
at least 5,000.
Yeah, we know how much a Super Bowl ad costs.
Oh,
I think we're asking like $5 or $6 million for a 30-second spot this year.
Oh yeah, at least that much. I think that's the floor. I think it's probably even more than that.
Maybe that's why the commercials are not that great, because they're spending so much just trying to get the ad space and not spend on the ad itself.
And see, that's the whole thing. We talk, and we're going to be talking more about Super Bowl ads as we go forward. But, here's the thing. You're paying that much money. You want to make the ad quality and unforgettable.
Exactly.
One way or the other. It's unforgettably bad or unforgettably good.
Yeah. Or they just regurgitate what they did before and be like, I'm like, that's a little cheap.
Yeah.
It wasn't good then, not good now.
Now, that's the thing. You talk about spending that much money on a Super Bowl ad, you want to make it memorable.
Exactly.
Whether it's...
The Nissan Cat's Cradle ad was pretty good. It was set to Cats in the Cradle, a good song from the 1970s. Don't know who sang it, though. But it shows a father's journey through the eyes of a Nissan owner.
Yeah.
So that was pretty poignant.
I would agree. That was a very good Super Bowl commercial. I would agree there. Without question. And I'm interested.
You should never forget Budweiser's What's Up?
Oh, yeah. I love that one.
Let's not bring that
back.
You don't want them to bring it back?
No.
How about the Budweiser Frogs? Do we remember them?
Yes.
See?
Yeah,
why can't you bring something like that back?
Bring back the frogs.
There you go. See? We can bring back the...
Bud.
Why?
Or something. I can't remember.
Yep.
But I know they do something like that. That was perfect. Like that, they put money into that one.
Exactly. And they built off of that.
They even brought it back during the World Series the same year as they aired it in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Commercials you can build off of,
You know how hard it is to train a frog? Oof.
I can only imagine, the amount of frog training that went into that one. Commercials like that you can build off of that people love. Like I remember back in the day they had, what was it, Spuds McKenzie.
I was about to say that. Spuds McKenzie. Bring something like that back.
Yeah.
That's way before my time.
But something like that, a cute little doggy commercial or whatever,
Yeah.
The commercials that you can build off of that people like, have some of them, I love the comedic commercials too. Mm-hmm. Those are generally some of the more memorable ones.
Yeah, I like the ones that they start at the Super Bowl starts at one time and then by the time it's over, there's like 3 different commercials, but they're in sequence.
Yes.
It's almost like telling a huge story. I liked it when they did that.
Exactly. That's another good concept, too. Yeah. You know, if you have enough money to spend for 3 Super Bowl commercials in there, yeah.
Like what they did with Procter & Gamble's Tide ad a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Something like that, you know.
They got David Harbour from Stranger Things to do them all.
Yep.
They were great, too.
Yeah. Exactly. You know,
what I'm really tuning in for is the Super Bowl lead out program this year.
And just to let you guys know, I just got some breaking news on my cell phone. Breaking news. Are we ready, Jeff?
Sure. Break it hard.
Breaking news coming in from my cell phone from my brother, Jeff.
No? Okay, so it's legit.
It is legit. coming from my brother Jeff. You are hearing it here on the live stream first.
Okay.
Our dad has a tentative release date of next Friday, January 10th.
Fantastic.
So next Friday, he could be coming home.
Awesome. That is great to hear.
Fantastic.
How this impacts the live stream, I have no idea, but
it makes you happy. So that's
it makes
all that
me
counts.
happy. It makes my brother happy, and we are announcing it here first.
I'm sure it makes your dad happy too.
And my dad will probably be taking his swallow test on Monday. He'll pass that. We're gonna bring him in a pepperoni pizza, which is what he's been dying for. That and a burger with everything on it. So
maybe a pizza on the burger.
Maybe
just put it all together.
Maybe something like that. But that was just sent to me by my brother Jeff. So
fantastic breaking news. I love it.
Breaking news here on the Sports Skillet live stream. Dad has a tentative. Now it is tentative. It's not set in stone yet, but it looks like he could be getting out next Friday. He's been improving that much. Still has some work to do once he gets home to continue on the rehab trail and everything. But at least he could be coming home next Friday.
Awesome. And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yes. All right, Mike. Unfortunately, it's getting close to 3 o'clock, so got to let you go. But can't wait to talk to you again next week, Mike. And we'll be discussing the NFL games coming up on semifinal weekend, winners and losers from this week.
All right.
All right. Happy New Year, Mike. All the best to you and your family, and we will talk to you next Friday.
See you then.
All right. And, of course, that was Mike Nebbia. Awesome guy, contributor here to Sports Skillet. We always love having him on every Friday. So, since my brother did pass along the good news about my dad, I think it is only appropriate that we play his segment.
I guess so. Why not?
Why not? So his segment is called This Week in Sports History. We also abbreviate it Twitch, where he takes a look at the upcoming week in sports history, goes day by day, picks out an awesome event that happened that day in sports history, and recaps it for us. So without any further ado, we want to go to This Week in Sports History.
Welcome to This Week in Sports History, sponsored by Wildflowers Restaurant. I am Jeff Selner. Let's dive right into the history books. On January 7th in 1992, Tom Seaver and Raleigh Fingers were elected to Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame. Seaver pitched for 4 different teams, but is noted for his time with the New York Mets. Seaver was a key figure in helping the Mets win the World Series in 1969. During a 20-year career, Seaver compiled 311 wins, 3,640 strikeouts, 61 shutouts, and a 2.86 earned run average. Raleigh Fingers pitched for the Oakland A's, San Diego Padres, and Milwaukee Brewers. Fingers is a 3-time World Series champion, 7-time All-Star, and 3-time Major League Baseball saves champion. Fingers won both the AL MVP and Cy Young Award in 1981. Fingers compiled a record of 114 and 118 with a 2.90 ERA and 341 career saves. He is known for his groomed handlebar mustache. On January 8th in 1955, Georgia Tech ended Kentucky's 130-game home basketball winning streak. Georgia Tech won the game 59-58. Georgia Tech coach Wack Hyder said after the game, strategy? Nah. Those kids just went out and played their hearts out. Those 5 kids who went all the way deserve all the credit. All I did was pray in those last 5 minutes. Kentucky had a 3-point lead with 1 minute and 30 seconds to go. Kentucky coach Adolph Rupp said, they deserve everything they got. We have no one to blame but ourselves. We had the game won 3 times and lost it. On January 9th in 1967, the New Orleans franchise in the NFL took on the name Saints in their inaugural season of play. The name Saints is taken from All Saints Day in the Catholic faith, as the team was founded on November 1st, 1966, and New Orleans' large Catholic population. Their logo is a simplified fleur-de-lis. On January 10th in 1980, Jim Stewart, NHL Boston Bruins rookie goaltender, allowed 3 goals in its first 4 minutes and a total of 5 in the first period. He never again played in the NHL. On January 11th in 1953, J. Edgar Hoover, then director of the FBI, declined a 6-figure offer to become president of the International Boxing Club. Also on this date in 2010, retired baseball star Mark McGwire admitted to using steroids during his career, including when he broke the sports single-season home run record in 1998. On January 12th in 1969, the New York Jets, an 18-point underdog in Super Bowl III in Miami, Florida, pulled off one of the greatest upsets in American sports history as they defeated the Baltimore Colts 16-7. This was the first Super Bowl victory for the AFL. Baltimore posted a 13-1 record during the season before defeating the Cleveland Browns 34-0 in the NFL Championship game. The Jets finished the season 11-3 and defeated the Oakland Raiders 27-23 in the AFL Championship game. Jets quarterback Joe Namath made an appearance 3 days before the Super Bowl at the Miami Touchdown Club and brashly guaranteed a victory. His team backed up his words as they built a 16-0 lead in the fourth quarter. On January 13th in 1991, a fight and stampede at a preseason exhibition match between South African football teams Chiefs and Pirates in the town of Orkney near Johannesburg left 42 dead. Thank you for listening to This Week in Sports History, sponsored by Wildflowers Restaurant. I am Jeff Selner.
So we are back here on the Sports Skillet live stream. That was This Week in Sports History, done by my brother Jeff.
I loved how he ended it with people dying.
Yeah, you know.
I'm like, 43 dead, and that's it. I'm like, what? Wow.
Yeah. Yes. Well, some teams are going to die this weekend. You know, their playoff hopes and prayers.
Figuratively, not
literally. Yes. I just saw this on the NFL.com site. You know, we were talking about the Tennessee Titans going into New England. Mm-hmm. The Tennessee Titans being a run-based team, having one of the best running back, if not the best running back in the NFL, in Derrick Henry. You know, and I just saw this and come over and get posted on NFL.com that Winter Storm Henry, not to be confused with Derrick Henry, but a winter storm is supposed to hit Foxborough on Saturday night. Of course, Tennessee is playing New England Saturday at 8:15, so you would have a winter storm hitting New England around the same time as they're supposed to kick off and play. We know that NFL games don't get, you know, lightning will delay a game, but outside of that, whether it's raining, snowing, sleeting, whatever, they will play through it. That's what you do in the NFL. And it's been, from what I'm seeing here, it's been mostly rain across the Midwest as it moves eastward. Could develop into snowfall in New England area by Saturday night. So something to kind of keep an eye on as we go forward. They're saying that it's more likely to bring rain than snow Saturday night. So, we don't know what it's going to bring, but but the storm is supposed to hit New England Saturday night. So if you have a good run-based team and you're able to run the ball like the Titans are, that might give them a leg up on the New England Patriots, who are not, who try different types of plays to energize the offense, flea flickers and that type of thing to generate offense, as their offense hasn't been as potent as it's been in previous years. So that could give the Titans another leg up on the New England Patriots.
That's true. I mean, it all depends on how the weather is, too, how well they play in the weather, whether it is snow or rain. I don't remember if either team plays in certain conditions this year.
I think New England would probably be more used to like the snow than maybe Tennessee, but that's not saying that Tennessee, doesn't play in snow or isn't good or, that type of thing. I just think when you get into that type of weather game, if it's rain, you can get a wet ball, so the ball can slip out of your hand easier, or throws cannot be as accurate and can go off wide receivers' hands, and if you're built to be a run-based team like the Titans are and have the NFL's best running back, that to me gives you a leg up.
Yeah, and hopefully they learn how to slide. If it's snow, you can just straight on down.
And they did that. One of my favorite games is the snowball that was played a couple years ago in Philadelphia with Shady McCoy and all those guys out there. It was just a blast, being out there in that snowball. And, it was just one of the best games to watch visually on TV. The players had a ball playing in it, and
who doesn't have fun playing in snow? I mean, come on.
Exactly. It's like, they had, the one downfall is that, you got to win the game or your season's over, so it's like you're having fun playing with it, but at the same time, you got to do well and you got to focus in because, if you don't do well, then your season's over and you're packing up your locker and that's it for the season.
Yeah.
So,
and hopefully there's not many injuries during any kind of weather conditions,
That's the other thing, too.
Slip falls, there's always going to be an accident or something.
Exactly. A muscle pull here and there. Your cleats may catch.
Yeah. You go down wrong on the foot and because it's so slick or whatever.
Exactly.
So, who knows?
Exactly. So, we're all looking forward to this wild card weekend in the NFL. We hope you're looking forward to it as well. Again, any questions you have for us, anybody you want to see on the show, feel free to contact us on our social media sites, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and right here on YouTube. We do answer questions live on the show. So if there's any topic you want to talk about, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, whatever it may be. Wrestling, of course, as well. And just to touch on wrestling real quick, that wedding that was on Monday Night Raw this past week with Rusev and Lana was just absolutely god-awful. I don't know who writes that stuff, but...
McMahon.
Well, he approves it. He doesn't do the actual writing. So I guess, the buck stops with him.
He approved it.
Exactly.
That should tell you something.
Exactly. So that's why I was just going to say he approved it. I mean, it was just one of the most, and we knew that when they do these weddings on WWE broadcasts, we know that somebody's going to pop out from somewhere and destroy the wedding, but it was just unbelievably bad.
It was definitely handled wrong too. I mean, you want to do I don't know if you would call it a controversial reveal or something like that, but it's just like, really? I mean, shock value for something like that is like,
Yeah.
Especially these days. No one really cares because we've seen it everywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on. Find something else.
Exactly. And we knew Rusev was going to come out of the cake and break up the wedding and everything. I mean, but every little thing that came before that was just absolutely horrible. Should have been better written. They kept everybody waiting all night for that. So that's my takeaway from Monday Night Raw. If you agree or disagree, let us know. On our social media channels. We want to remind you to subscribe here on YouTube so that you don't miss any minute of our live stream, which we do here from the very nice but not overly ostentatious studios here in Cherry Hill, New Jersey at Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
We want to thank them for allowing us to have the show every Friday afternoon.
Exactly.
So, again, tune in Sunday morning. We'll be back on the air, Fox Sports Radio 920 New Jersey and SportsSkilletRadio.com. All you got to do there is click on Listen Live, or better yet, download our app that we have on the site. So wherever you are, you can listen to us. Stream us live in your car as you're driving around on a Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. There you have it. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Until then, thanks so much for listening to us here on the Sports Skillet live stream every Friday afternoon.
Now say this out loud as you're driving around in your car.
Join Sports Skillet.
Just what it feels like. So how do you like it?
So what is it? I'm curious.
You like it like this?
My God, do we love football.
Or like this?
I love the sport of baseball.
And what about this?
You can have a sports show without all the vicious talk.
Simple human decency.
Whatever it is that you like.
Yeah, I like chaos.
We've got it covered.
Right?
It's sports the way you like it.
My friends, you may not know this. It's got everything you want.
Local and national sports talk that's fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff, Jay, and Kelly. They don't just stir the pot, they add more flavor than the other guys. Get ready to dig in and taste some Sports Skillet.
Tastes good.